Reading from the Book of John, from the Bitch Better of My Money translation. Chapter 1. 11. In the beginning God pretended he created the heaven and the earth. 2. And without form and void all was utter bullshit, and darkness hung upon the face of what the fuck doth thou meaneth lack thereof of light if you dumb shit. And the spirit of harshing our mellow hovered upon everything, ruining it forever for everybody. Fuck. 3. And God said, let there be light, but then he got really high and passed out. 4. And it dawned on him that he had fucked up again, because now there was too much light. The entire universe was engulfed in light, and it burned everything to a crisp. He hadn't put any planets or trees or nebulae or shit like that in yet, so it didn't matter. But the point is that the big guy is clearly as stoned as we are if he's always forgetting to create the planets before he starts smoking them. But I digress. 5. And God decided this still didn't count as day one. Day one hadn't really started yet. He just needed 5 more minutes. 6. And God said, let there be a vault between what the hell ever so that we can finally have some fucking planets. And there was. But he forgot where he left the planets. Again. Because God is actually a very irresponsible creator when you think about it. 7. And God went, oh yeah, I forgot. This all counts now. And declared day 1, which was complete bullshit. The whole thing had gone off the rails days ago, but apparently God has no problem letting everyone know he just wants to get high. So then God went around looking for the planets he created and got distracted and put the vault in twice. What the fuck? 9. And God saw that he still had shit tons of work left, and he wasn't even sure if he'd be able to pull it off. He wasn't sure where the mountains or the lakes were going. He couldn't remember how many moons the third planet was going to have, and he knew he had forgotten something important because that's pretty much what he always does. But for the moment, at least, he had managed to make one measly, single, solitary speck of dry land, so he figured it was good enough for today and called it day 3. I think. Did he? When did that happen? 10. Then God spent a day creating the stars. At least I'm pretty sure this is when that happened. It seemed like the sort of thing God would do while stoned. Create more light sources. 11. And God said, behold all the stars of heaven. You better appreciate them, motherfuckers. 12. And all the heavens were pleased because they now had lights of their own and not just balls of space gas hanging out up there with no suns or nothing. 30. And the Lord said, I am tired as fuck. And then realized he was supposed to have created Earth's plant life yesterday and felt like an idiot. 14. So God took the next day and created comets instead because he figured people would be way more impressed by those. Even though it made no sense why it would take him 2 whole days to create comets. He just really wanted to avoid having to recreate the plant life. 15. And God took some time out to put the sun in the middle of all this because why the fuck not? It was there already anyway. The universe is fucked up like that. 16. And God took another hour to create a bunch more plants before he decided he just didn't give a shit anymore. He knew they were all going to be dead soon anyway thanks to the comet thing. Fuck those guys! John chapter 2. 1. And then the heavens and the earth were pretty much done with, but the land was a mess and there wasn't anybody taking care of it yet, so God got stuck playing gardener. 2. And on the 7th day, after 6 days of intense gardening, God gave up and went to lie down for a few minutes. 3. But after several centuries of being woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning by his stupid children screaming nonsense, he decided he was going to have to teach them how to handle shit on their own if he ever wanted to get any rest again. 4. So God woke them up early, which everyone hated. 5. And man was pissed because the woman kept talking about her feelings, and the woman was pissed because the man wouldn't stop masturbating long enough to find food, and both were mad at each other for pissing all over the place because neither of them could be asked to invent toilet paper or even to dig a hole or anything. These were the first people. We descended from these assholes. Sex. Paul Also, the serpent showed up and ruined everything forever because it was totally a lot of parents. 7. After God finished taking a shower, he went back out to the garden and saw what an embarrassment the human race had become, so he sent them off to multiply and populate the world, so he would have someone else to blame all of this on. 8. Thus did God spend the rest of eternity passing the blunt, watching the madness ensue, and denying the blame. Adam chapter 1. 1. Adam was bored. 2. Adam was also horny. 3. The serpent told Adam the apple could fix that. Eve chapter 1. 1. Eve bit the apple and immediately regretted it. 2. Eve apologized to Adam and Adam forgave her. 3. Then he tried to fuck her again. 4. She made him leave the garden right then and there before things could get worse. Cain and Abel chapter 1. 1. Adam got lost on his way back home from work one day and wandered into a field where he found a young man sacrificing the best of his vegetables to the Lord. And that's when it occurred to Adam that maybe God wasn't responsible for all of this bullshit after all. Maybe his son was. 2. God appeared to Cain in a vision and said, "Give me all your best stuff." 3. And Cain did. But God ignored him and instead called out to Cain's brother Abel, who was doing his best to slaughter his very best animals as tribute. 4. Cain was really annoyed because Abel was killing innocent creatures all in the name of impressing a father who didn't even exist. At least Cain hadn't killed anything for him. The ground already did that for him. 5. Cain realized that if anyone was worth sacrificing for, it was the planet and not the asshole sitting around in the clouds all day playing judge with no actual knowledge of humanity and its needs. So fuck Abel, basically. 6. Abel went out and slaughtered animals at random to feed the hunger of the beast he worshipped, and the blood of these animals fed his ego as well, for he felt powerful as hell when the great destroyer accepted his offerings. 7. But the destroyer was never satisfied and always demanded more. Abel began hunting far and wide and across many lands to find animals worthy of sacrifice to the beast, and thus did mankind learn a war. But eventually there was nothing left to sacrifice, so Abel returned home and sacrificed his own brother instead. Note chapter 1. 1. Noah looked out at the world and saw it was filled with violence and corruption. He was starting to wonder if maybe he'd made a wrong turn somewhere along the way. 2. He turned to God for advice, but only received cryptic silence in response. Not sure what else to do, he decided to gather some supplies and get ready for whatever might come next. It seemed like something was about to go down. 3. Noah prepared for the flood by building a giant boat. 4. He took some time to explain himself to his wife and sons. They understood. His daughters-in-law thought he was kind of weird. 5. Noah gathered pairs of every species under the ark, including dinosaurs. Fuck yeah! 6. When the rain came, he washed away every living thing, except those on the boat, which now included dinosaurs. Double fuck yeah! Job chapter 1. 1. Job hated everything and everybody. 2. He spent all day cursing God and blaming him for the suffering he caused, which is admittedly fair. 3. God heard this and was super pissed off, but Satan thought that this sounded hilarious and wanted to see where it would lead, so he convinced God not to punish Job for it yet. I'll wait till he gets better before I crush him. 4. One morning, Job's wife noticed something strange. Her husband seemed strangely happy. In fact, he was almost cheerful. 5. She asked him how his day had been, expecting to hear another rant about what an awful person he was, and why no one loved him or cared about his pain. 6. Instead, she got the best part about living is dying. 7. Job's wife rolled her eyes and shook her head at the insanity of this statement. 8. She sighed dramatically before saying under her breath, "Well, obviously you must have gone completely insane if you were able to say something like that without bursting into tears or throwing up blood. 9. As soon as the words left her mouth, she knew exactly who was responsible for making her husband act crazy. Satan. It had to be. There could be no other explanation. The man clearly had demon possession written all over him. 10. Just then they both heard footsteps approaching. 11. When Jobsol entered the tent, his jaw dropped open in shock. Then confusion, anger, despair, rage, and finally joy. Joy because now there will finally be an end to all this misery once and for all. Now we shall settle our differences, man versus evil spirit style. Castles, cracks, knuckles, zastovs. 12. And so the epic battle between good and evil began as Satan taunted Job mercilessly, trying desperately to get under his skin and make him doubt himself again. Meanwhile, God watched from above, enjoying every minute of it, wondering if maybe giving free will to humans wasn't such a terrible idea after all. Or perhaps not quite so wise either, considering how quickly it turned against them when left unchecked. 13. The fighting went on for hours until eventually both sides were exhausted beyond belief, unable to continue any longer without rest. At night, each slept soundly, knowing tomorrow would bring more opportunities to prove themselves superior than ever before. And thus ends today's chapter. 14. Tomorrow I promise things won't go nearly so badly for Job, though. Honest. But then again, maybe not. Tune in next week, folks. Same bad time, same bad channel. Adios amigos. Boo bye. Jonin?